So welcome to part 2 of episode 1 of Pocket Moon Podcast. That's very confusing, I know. Well, this is Taffy.
And this is Amazing Flying Poo.
And pretty much what we're going to do here is segue straight into all the good stuff that we could not fit into part 1 because it was way too insanely long. So with that, we'll go ahead and cut right into where we left off last time.
Reach the island.
All right. Now we're going to get into what I think is probably going to be my favorite section, and that is general gaming.
Woohoo!
And that, again, is coming back around to our concept that LittleBigPlanet players are gamers more than anything. Just because, you're trying to create your own video game experiences, so we think that people are students of that. So I am going to lead things off with something I'm really beyond excited about. I'm trying not to giggle like a schoolgirl, and that is that Gran Turismo 5 is out. And
if you want to know how excited Taffy is about this, just go look at Twitter.
Yeah, I'm PSN_TSR13. You can see my rantings on Gran Turismo 5. It's Gran Turismo 4. Okay, well, I'll back up. Gran Turismo 1 came out in 96 in Japan, 97 in the US, I think. It was a launch title or close to a launch title for the original PlayStation. Mm-hmm. I got told about that game, word of mouth, from a friend of mine. I got it. Just completely, I'm not going to say it blew me away because I've been listening to our I say that every time. So
I don't think we've said it yet this time. I hope we haven't said it yet this time.
Well, then it blew me away. There, I said it once. I've used it. I can mark it off on the board. It absolutely floored me that anything like that could exist anywhere. I liked the game enough. I bought so my roommates and I were fighting over it so much. I bought a second PlayStation and a second copy of the game for the other room because that's literally all we did for like a year. That's all we did is we played the game. And then Gran Turismo 2 came out in 99, I think, which is probably still my favorite overall version of the game because it was so massive. It had muscle cars and all kinds of stuff. And then Gran Turismo 3 was a launch title for the PlayStation 2. That was 2001. Gran Turismo 4 came out in 2004. So in the span of 7 years, you had 4 versions of the games, and it has now been 6 years for one more version. So there's been that much put into it. I'm so excited about it. It was all I could do to turn off my PS3 to come and do this podcast.
So do you think it was worth the 6 years, or were you a little like, well, maybe...
Well, it got to the... It was worth a wait. I hesitate to say if it was worth 6 years. I think they spent $60 million on it or something like that. I mean, it's stunning. It's so good. There's just nothing that's even close to it. It's just.
So I have to confess that I'm not really much of a racing person unless it's like arcadey Burnout. I love Burnout.
Burnout is my favorite arcade racer of all time.
Yeah, I love those games. But so I'm gonna have to ask stupid questions real fast. For when you play Gran Turismo 5, do you usually stick with one car, or are you unlocking cars and switching constantly?
Oh no, you're switching constantly. There's different types, and they're all real cars. There's different drivetrains. There's different engine types. There's different manufacturers. There's different suspension systems. I mean, the thing about the game is it's really teaching you how to drive. It's not teaching you how to play an arcade racer. There's was it Lucas Ordonez? If I'm saying that right, he's a professional race car driver, and he started by playing Gran Turismo.
Huh.
I think he won like the GT Academy, and I've got my facts all totally wrong, so I don't follow that stuff. But I mean, it's actually teaching with skill, right? Which is Little Big Planet and Gran Turismo. See, I'm bringing it all together now. See what I'm doing? It's the reason they're very similar in that they took something that had been thought of before, and they completely went nuts with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Little Big Planet took a platformer. Okay, fine. We've all seen platformers before. We've seen game editors before. And they said, tell you what, you can make anything you want. Here's a tool set. Do anything you want. Literally anything you can think of. And it really turned it created its own category of game. And Gran Turismo is the same way. So I think what I'm going to probably do is stop talking about Gran Turismo, because I will be here for another hour.
All right. So it looks like next topic is Patapon 3, which is coming out soon. Is it out yet?
No.
Oh no, it got moved back to March. Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to be quote unquote Q4, which I think I've finally figured out that whenever they give a release date as a quarter, it's the kiss of death. It's never going to come out of that quarter.
Just add
ever.
Close.
Yeah, plus minimum 3 months, probably 6. So the closest date that I've been able to find is March. I think it's March 10th or 12th or something. That's not an official date. So
how many hours do you think you put into Patapon 2?
I don't know. Probably maybe 100 hours.
Whoa, yeah,
80 hours or something. I played it a lot.
See, I would go for 20 to 25 for myself, and that I have a lot of long plane rides, so I spent a lot of time on plane rides doing that as my eyes turned redder and redder. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but man, I mean, that game is so good.
I had the Patapon, the original Patapon demo, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It was too, I don't know, I was like, well, there's a tribe, and you're the god. I'm like, yeah, it's lame.
No, I actually agree with you 100% because I was a huge Loco Roco fan. Is Loco Roco? Any ideas?
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it.
I think that's how you say it. I think that's
my wife and I still sing the songs from Loco Roco to each other just randomly in public, just because the songs are so catchy. Did you play it?
I have. I haven't played. I played demos of it. I know the game. I haven't played the whole thing. It is pretty pretty. Let's say it sticks to you like gum on your shoe, right? You can't get the songs out of your head.
Yeah, oh man, I loved that game, and so I was really excited for Patapon because I liked the art style. I mean, I'd seen so many pictures of it, and the art style looked incredible. But when I actually played the demo, I was kind of like, this isn't bad, and it's a really neat concept to have a kind of music style game mixed with strategy. But it didn't stick. Like I couldn't see any leveling up. It was when the second one had the whole leveling up system and all the stuff that they added into that. It took what was a really great idea and made it into an amazing game.
Yeah, I got hooked on Patapon 1. I got a used copy. I found it I'm a sucker for used games. If I find it for $5, I'll just buy. I don't even care if I'm not going to buy the Spice Girls game, but if it's $5, I'll probably buy it.
Oh man, I might have to put one on eBay just for you.
I know. I did that for a while. I would go on eBay and I would buy. You could change the category to lot, as in a bunch of used games. I would buy PS1 games, usually like 40 or 50 at a time, and I would go through and I would pick out the ones that I wanted, like maybe 4 or 5, and then I would sell the rest for double. I mean, it's not a moneymaker, but it was like a self-sustaining hobby. So I would end up with PS1 titles basically for free.
Was this PS2 era, PS1 era? When were you doing this?
This was PS2 era.
Okay.
I've always liked to go back and get the throwbacks. Because there's a lot of good quality. That when you look at the stuff that's coming out and you look at some of the older stuff. I like older games because they can't cover stuff with graphics. So either it has good gameplay or it's terrible, and it's very obvious.
See, that would make a great topic for later discussion because I like throwbacks too, but I'm very specific, almost exclusive to Super Nintendo when it comes to throwbacks.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo looks it just hurt. It's just hard to play because it actually looks that bad. And PlayStation, the original PlayStation almost has that same feel to it. I mean, it's a different kind of bad because it's 3D now, but it actually kind of has that, I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at feel that the original Nintendo had. It's just now 3D.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm a fan of Game Boy. I've never really had any of the Nintendo consoles, but I've always had a Game Boy since '91. I've had a Game Boy of some type. Mm-hmm. And some of the original ones, it's just it was just a black and white LCD. Just the pixels are just massive, like a grain of rice, and it's hard to make out what in the heck it's supposed to be. It has the poor graphics and no color, so it's better have pretty good gameplay or it's just gonna be awful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I am with like the Atari 2600 is one of my favorite consoles.
Yeah.
Because that's just absolutely no graphics at all. So the gameplay, it's got to have gameplay. Got to. Because there literally is nothing else. And there's quite a few pretty good party games on there, like Warlords. It's really fun. People always dive in.
All right, so we got one more topic here, and I don't even know if you have anything to say about it, but I was just wondering if they will ever make another good Silent Hill game. So are you a Silent Hill person?
I did play the first one. I don't remember if I ever finished it. I remember that there's like a little dead baby that like follows you around in like the school or something. It just freaked me the heck out. And I don't get freaked out. It just freaks me the heck out.
So you made it through about the first 10 minutes, then you just had to shut it off crying?
It was in classic form. I usually have about 10 games that I'm trying to all finish at the same time, and I'll finish like 2. So it is one of those. Silent Hill is a fabulous game.
So you buy this big lot of games, and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
I know, I do that. If I actually went through and like and said, okay, I can't play any more games until I finished the first ones I bought, I would be playing games that I got probably in '95. I'm that far behind on my queue. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't stop buying them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I buy used ones. They're cheaper. So when I don't play them, I don't feel bad.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely noticing the benefit of getting games later on, because I didn't have a console for a year, and man, games are cheap now. I'm like shopping for Uncharted 2, and that was a game I was dying for, but I just couldn't get it. And now, yeah, it's not that bad to buy it anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. And the game is still just as good, right?
Yep.
Still a fabulous game. I never played the first ones, so Silent Hill. So there was a first one that was a PS1, and there wasn't there a Silent Hill 2 that was PS1.
Nope, Silent Hill 2 was PS2, and that was the first Silent Hill I played. And I had no idea what I was getting into. A friend of mine at school, this was high school, must have been junior year, he said, oh man, there's this game, it's so scary, you're running around with this board and it has a nail in it. I mean, you're hitting them with the nail. It's like the most violent, scary thing. And I was like, I can't even imagine this in a game, because I hadn't really played that many violent games at that point. And I mean, Silent Hill isn't exactly an over-the-top violent game, really, but man, when I played it, and the first time I got that board and saw stuff moving around that you couldn't even tell what it was, and you got static on the radio, and I mean, just so many elements that all work together to make that I believe to be it was the scariest game ever made. I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm a huge fan of Dead Space, and I know some people don't even think Dead Space is scary, but man, whew, I'm so excited for that.
Dead Space is pretty. You know what? I never actually played Dead Space, and it's odd that I haven't, because that's right in my core, like, butter zone of game that I would love, because it's like, have you ever seen the movie Event Horizon?
Yep.
It's the game of that, right? Basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was watching. They released like animated still. They're like halfway animated, so like still frame comics, but like stuff would move on it. For Dead Space before they released the game, and I was really into it. Watching that stuff, it was really, really cool, really creepy.
Well, I couldn't advise you more to play that, and that's actually the only game that has pulled me away from Little Big Planet. And I can't remember if it actually came out before Little Big Planet, but I got it after Little Big Planet because I got it used, and it actually kept me away from it. Like, it's the only time where I wasn't like shaking from Little Big Planet withdrawal. Like, I was actually enjoying the game enough to not even think about Little Big Planet. So. Yeah, definitely give that a try.